All met at one point or another. I am one of the co-owners of Resolute Bliss. Brad Motion is the other co-owner of Resolute Bliss. A little bit about us, just so you guys understand. We actually started out many years ago as Dark Visions Publishing. We put out several books. Some of them were pretty popular. Boris Vallejo, Joe Linsner covers. My cousin James, because most people will not realize he's my cousin across the table because he goes by another name, but James actually was my editor even back then. Actually, he did some stuff in our book. Now he also does his own books, his novels, not graphic novels. Anyway, so what happened is we put out, and we did a book forever ago called GAS. Just wanted to share this with you. This is where this whole group kind of comes from. So GAS stood for Giant Anthology of Small Publishers. In this book is my story, Eric Treadaway, who owns the Four Horsemen. We had Rick Veach in this, Stephen Bissett, John Tolbleton cover, Bat and Lash, Don Simpson. I mean, there was some heavy hitters in this book. We sold 40,000 of these. We did awesome with this. Now we got 8,000 returned. That's a whole different story. I won't wear you all out with that. But the whole point was we want to bring small publishers together and say, hey, how can we help each other? How can we make a difference? How can we become bigger? Because this is back in the days when you either worked for Marvel or DC and independents were just becoming popular. There's always been independents since the 40s. We all know that. All right, but this is the one that this in the 90s is when it started. People coming out saying, "Hey, I can do my own stuff," and that's where we got Bone and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, things like that, and all that stuff started exploding. So this did really well. So when Brad and I decided to start doing Resolute Bliss, we said, "Hey, how can we help and figure out a way of helping small publishers?" Because we're all small publishers. Your customer is not my customer. We're all going after different customers. We're wanting to get more national prominence. We're wanting to get more people to read our stuff. We want to look for better deals for all of us. We ultimately would like to save some money and make a little money, right? I think so. If not, maybe this is not the meeting we should have. So I've been told by several people since I started down this road that there's two coalitions out there that have been trying to do this. One's in New Orleans, one is in California. I have not researched them. So what we thought was, hey, how's a way that we can pull everybody together? So as I've met all of you guys through the reins, I've wanted to say, hey, we're going to have a meeting. We're going to start talking about it. If you're interested, we can help you. You can help us. If we're a bunch of creative people, let's put our minds together and be creative. How can we gain some national prominence? So if we put together a blueprint that works, maybe even if it's just a good idea and we only have a couple good ideas, maybe somebody nationally picks us up and says, hey, this group is doing this. Maybe other places in the country should do it. But I'll tell you, the funny thing is, when I posted this on my Facebook page, I had about 9 or 10 people send me messages and said, hey, I'm a publisher. I want to come to that meeting. I went, okay, yeah, come. I'm inviting anybody. Just be a real publisher, have a real comic book. Let me know that you're legit, not somebody just comes by and says, I'm going to do this, and you never do it. And they were all from different places. They were like Texas, California, you know, all these places. And I said, dude, if you want to drive here, we'd love to have you. But, and they're like, Zoom us. So that's actually made me think that, okay, this has actually a lot better opportunity for a lot of legs, that we can create some kind of national leverage, because everybody's trying to figure this out. So anyway, that was a long introduction. So once again, I'm Rick. Though, if you would just introduce yourself, I kind of want you to flash your comic out. If people don't know, or if they do know, because this is a time you get to kind of brag about it for a second, or brag about something you're doing, just so that we put everybody on the same page. So Rick, Resolute Bliss, putting you on the spot here.
My name's Ethan. I do a comic series called Mighty Snail. It's in all the stores in Cleveland and a bulk of the stores in Chattanooga. I'm trying to branch out more to Knoxville and stuff like that. I'll have to flash up in a second for you. Should have had it on me. But
Put you on the spot.
no, you're good. So this is Mighty Snail. It's the Tick meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So it's about two aliens that come to Earth. They're snail-like aliens. They try to be superheroes and they suck at it.
Are they fast or slow?
They're fast.
Okay.
So, well,
Good
one of them.
question.
Yeah.
Snails. And are they? Is their weakness salt?
I have actually played around with the idea of introducing something like that, but it's very tongue-in-cheek, very actiony, but also one of my favorite writers is H.P. Lovecraft, so there's a lot of like Lovecraftian elements to it, and it's pretty much just following their misadventures. If anybody wants, I actually have just a couple of stickers.
All right, cross promotion.
Yeah.
That's what this group is all
I'll
about.
take a sticker.
So I'll
Yeah,
give-
we
I'll give
definitely
my
will take stickers.
couple stickers here.
Always cross promote.
If y'all just want to like pass it down, you can. But that's me. I've been pretty much drawing and writing since high school. I did it as a duo for a little bit, which just like a high school project. But it became something a little bit more after high school. So I've been doing that for 5 or 6 years, just sort of locally. But here recently, I met James, and he's given me some opportunities to sort of branch out. So I'm thankful to be here today.
On the spot.
I'm not necessarily a comic writer. For a while, I wrote novels and short stories, and just published a couple of short stories. And
Who are you,
novels.
man? Who are you? What's your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm Collie. I write under Collie James. I go by CJ. But I've been traditionally published about 3 or 4 times, and then about 7 poems, and then I just kind of. I don't know, I got out in public and met a girl and quit writing, and I hadn't picked it back up.
It's always a girl. That's what Jimmy Buck says. Always a woman.
I'm Ben Frazier. I have been in the business for a little while. I took a pretty long hiatus to learn how to tattoo. But the current project is The Shift. And I did some stuff with Red Stylo Media about 12, 13 years ago. So.
It's you.
I'm James Mulchin. These two knuckleheads.
Oh, wait a minute,
cousin.
you're James Motion now?
But I go by James Joseph Jones, which would have been my name if I'd been a bastard child. That's my mother's maiden name. And it's easier to remember than Mulchin. James Joseph Jones. This concept here, actually, that I have, it's the Weston Chronicles. It's a series of vampire novels that take place starting in England in the early 1700s, and they wrap up in Tennessee in the present day. This concept started off as a graphic novel idea, dark humor, and I met CJ, and I started editing a novel he'd already published, which they kind of short shafted you on the editing. So we met that way. We started talking, and I started, how it is around being around other creative people. Those juices start flowing, and I found this old notebook where I'd started this story 10 years before in 03, but I kept hitting a brick wall with it, and then it just one day it blew up, and it's still going. 3 novels right now, each one spotlights a main character. The other will give them the next book. They'll take a back seat or die off or something. I've got a companion novella which is finished. Ethan's working on that cover for me, and it'll wrap up with the last book called Absinthe and Opium. These first 2 novel covers were designed, and as well as some of the illustrations inside, like my shirt, by the artist S.M. Shuford, a very reclusive young lady, but I was lucky enough to meet her and finagle her into doing this. The second and the third book, or the third and the fourth books, done by Ethan, and the last one's kind of up in the air. I love comics. Rick and I grew up with doing comics. I love editing, doing a little story writing for him. I love editing for Ethan, getting in on that first, get to see, be one of the first people to see a new product. I've also done editing for paranormal publishers, steamy romance, novels, you name it. I enjoy that process, making sure that everything flows together, and I love great storytelling.
Even though he has books out, his first comic is actually being drawn right now, so he's approving the art. So
It's true. I'm excited seeing my little children being depicted by different artists.
I'm Matt, and I'm one half of Flyby Publishing, and
Joe.
with Joe. And
who's the more important one? That's all we need to know. Because on Resolute Bliss, it's the Resolute over the Bliss, and we won't explain why that's true.
we're kind of equal in that.
Experienced, I guess.
Yeah, the flyby publishing is because we're flying by the seat of our pants because we have no idea what we're doing. We have,
Our main one is this
Yeah.
Road. This is the one this is the first issue. We got 2 and 3 coming out. I think the art's done on both of them, right?
yeah, art's done.
Yeah.
We got the cover drawn for one. We're just waiting on some edits for the second book,
Yeah.
and then it'll probably be out in early August, and the third book will probably be out in October.
It's like a cyberpunk detective story.
With superheroes kind of laid in the background. Like at this point in the story, the superheroes have done their job and crime's kind of eliminated. And this one, where it picks up, there's just kind of stuff starts brewing again. And the main character, detective, his name's Detective Poole. Like he's got to kind of figure out what's going on. And we like to throw a lot of Easter egg kind of things. Like his name's play on Deadpool, like Detective Poole, Deadpool.
Neither one of us are artists, so
Yeah.
we I guess shop out the art.
Yeah, we got somebody on Fiverr, which I don't know if any of y'all ever use Fiverr, but Fiverr's awesome.
I love Fiverr.
Yeah, if you need somebody
Yes.
to do artwork or pretty much anything. I mean, program an app, do whatever. But
I have a colorist that I paid $75 to do 24 pages,
wow.
and did an awesome job. That's in my Hellfire series that's coming up.
Nice. Yeah, I love Fiverr. I use it. I do T-shirt designs and stuff too. So, so like I can have somebody on there that does like $15 and they'll draw my design or whatever, which is awesome. And these 2 comics are 2 that Joe had in college that he'd already had completed. So we just decided to have them printed up and stuff. Like I'll let you like.
Yeah, so yeah, I was in college probably about 20 years ago. So they've been out for a while. You got this is more like I guess I don't know. I was listening to a podcast. It's more like I guess you would the Sandman kind of stuff, you know, and Fables. I don't know if you read Fables, but
Were you talking about the podcast I was on? When they talked about Sandman?
Comic Exchange.
God,
Everybody was saying it was the Sandman.
They were
stuff.
just trying to drive me nuts. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's Vampire Lestat. You're missing the whole point.
Yeah, this is more like it's got some demons in it. It's basically folklore stuff, like tall tales, folklore that my grandma would tell us as kids.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of, I mean, we didn't bring any, but you know, y'all.
Are you from this area?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
from Morgan County. He's from Maryville.
I used to have a girlfriend from Deer Lodge.
Probably know her. It's,
Small town.
yeah, small
Do
area.
we need to
there.
compare paternity tests or
Yeah.
something? I don't know.
Yeah, and then this is just came out around the same time Passion of the Christ, Walking Dead. So I always had a mental image of the Last Supper, but they were all zombies. So
Oh wow.
so it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. It's just an ash can, you know, concept kind of thing. So the same artist did this. Of course, it was back in the early 2000s. I don't know if anybody remember, what was it, digital webbing. I don't know if y'all got on this. And this guy was from Argentina, Renzo Podesta. He's still around, doing stuff on social media. But yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome.
I'm Andy Gordon, and then this is my sci-fi adventure series, Frankie Langley and the Intergalactic Post Office.
Met you at Mag.
What's that?
I think I met you at Mag.
Yeah, I think I was at Mag Expo, yeah.
Or Mag.
But I self-published this with my writer. I'm the illustrator, and my writer is also local, but he couldn't make it today. His name's Matt Stiles. And it's a sci-fi, part 1 of a 3-part sci-fi adventure series that I illustrated about this old lady that works at the Intergalactic Post Office. She's kind of forced to train a naive newbie in order to retire. Yeah, we kickstarted this back in December and just got it printed back in March. So they're pretty new. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right. I go by BL Blankenship. It's Benjamin Lee, whatever. But yeah, so I wrote songs. I did over 100 songs, 13 albums. Then I went into doing novels. It's like 30 books or something that I've written under 2 different names. And then last year I started getting into comic books because I thought I want to step away. It was extreme, like Western horror, by the way, mainly is what the fiction was. That was the bulk of them. Joe Lansdale's at the top of that list, but I was the Western horror aficionado. Anyway, so my first comic to come out was Zorro Kills #1, which I found out then it's under trademark, so Zorro Inc. had me pull it because they didn't want an R-rated Zorro, even though everybody loves a Zorro about him tracking down child trafficking pedophiles and killing them with a machete. Yeah, so that got pulled. I did get paid to do Super Black Discovery #1 from I Shook Comics, so that was nice, and that's financing a thing that I'm currently working on. Outside of that, I put out these 5 comics in my first year, paid out of pocket for all of them except for that one. My dad financed that, and it's based on a comic strip that I did. Every time he would just be acting up, I would basically try to get him in line. And I don't know why he thinks that that's great, that he's the butt of the joke, but he paid for the Larry Bogus stuff, mowing the grass, bowling, all that goodness. This one is Winnie the Pooh and all of them became public domain. I thought, let's have them move to East Tennessee so somebody can't destroy their character, which Image came out a month later and did after this came out. And then this is almost like a love letter to Mad Magazine. These two make the best sales when I go out any place. I'm not really making a lot of money when I go to these shops around here. I drive anywhere within a 3-hour radius, and I'm talking fast on purpose so I don't take all day. But I take pictures, put them on social. I'm on a bunch of different socials. It helps to create a home following, but of course I think in musical terms and everything. Everybody wants to go national, but they don't build up a home thing, and it's you need to do that. So, I could provide people with a map of every place that I've been to. I'll be in Marietta and up in London, Kentucky, and just all over. That a 3-hour radius from home, and I'm in Harriman, so basically, here. It's Lexington, Asheville, Atlanta, Huntsville, and Clarksville. If you drew a line, that's a 3-hour driving radius from home. So that's not bad. That's Appalachia, essentially. And when you say that instead of just East Tennessee, then they feel like they're more they have to commit. So that's you want that. You want it's I'm your home team, but yeah, it's nice, and that just doesn't seem like too far to drive to me. If it does for somebody else, then it's if somebody wants to drive to Florida, do it. I'm tempted to push further, but it's I need to build up that home base,
I always take whenever if I ever, me and my wife travel a lot, so whenever I go anywhere, I always take a couple. We had some samplers printed out that has a couple different pages of each one of these in it. So I always take some of those with me or whatever. It might go we went to New York back in December, and I took some, and we went to probably 5 different comic shops and handed them, gave them. Some of them was just hey, can y'all hand them out, just whatever. But yeah, we like to try and wherever we go, I take some with me.
It's funny, I did across a street from a comic book shop in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My kid was running. There was a food truck there, and they're like, we love comic books, because I was making jokes hey, does anybody, what time's that comic book shop open? And they were very interested in the story. And they're like, do you have any, and Brad had made me a magnet, and I threw a magnet, and they actually show it on their Facebook page every so often. They're like, hey, we're waiting for this guy's comic coming out, and it's a little Hispanic food truck. So there's little ideas, when you go and drop stuff off. I wasn't even in the comic store. They're just promoting it on their food truck. They threw the magnet on. But so Brad, who's videotaping us, by the way, he has Moonblade that's coming out in 42 Teeth. That's what he's got going on. The only 2 people I think that we're missing, we're missing Carissa, who was actually at a show in Kentucky this weekend. She was going to come. For those who've met Carissa Grant, she does a lot. She's been out there for a while, working pretty hard. And then Junior, who's next door, who I'm quite sure Les is talking his ear off. And